So, I went to the thrift store this week and I found 4 sets of completely different china. 4 completely different price points, all in the same section, under $125 each. And together, these 4 sets of china teach you almost everything you need to know about buying china secondhand. So that's what we're going to do today. Come learn with me. Here's what I want you to think about as we go through this. One of these sets, one that has one of the most prestigious names in China, is not fine china at all, even though everything about it makes people assume that it is. There is an entire community of people that go hunting for this pattern at estate sales, and the thrift store priced it like it didn't know that. And by the end, you will know which is which, and exactly why it matters when you're standing in front of shelves full of china. Let's start here. Royal Doulton, one of the most respected names in English tableware. When people see Royal Doulton at the thrift store, they assume fine china. I assumed the same thing the first time. Read the backstamp. Labythware, dishwasher proof, detergent proof, freezer and oven proof. Fine china will never say those things. This is stoneware, Royal Doulton's casual everyday line. Heavier than fine china, fired differently, more durable. It's beautiful. Look at that blue-gray botanical pattern, that taupe trim. But it is not fine china. And here's the lesson I want you to keep. A prestigious name tells you the maker. The backstamp tells you the material. You need both, every time. Royal Doulton makes both. Knowing which one you're holding is the difference between a fair price and a great one. This is vintage Noritake in the bonsai or Ming tree pattern, featuring a painted pine motif and a gold rim. This mark, the wreath with the N in the center, is Noritake, one of the most recognized backstamps in the world. Noritake was founded in Japan in 1904 to produce tableware specifically for Western households. By the mid-century, they were in millions of American homes. This is Japanese fine china, white porcelain body, gold trim, a complete 58-piece service. 58 pieces, $60. That's roughly $1 a piece for mid-century Japanese fine china. So why is this so cheap? Because the generation that set their tables with Noritake is downsizing right now, and their children don't recognize the name the way they recognize, say, Wedgwood, so it lands here. Their loss. One more thing, and I'm planting this now because it matters in episode 3. You can date Noritake by what the backstamp says. Pre-war pieces say Nippon. Pieces made during the American occupation of Japan, 1945 to 1952, say made in occupied Japan. After 1952, they say Japan. This one says Japan, so it was made after 1952. Remember that. We're going to need it. Next up, we have the same maker, but look at how different this mark is. This is Noritake Ivory China. The body is warmer, ivory rather than bright white. The trim is platinum rather than gold. The pattern, Heather number 7548, is softer, more restrained, more modern. It says U.S. design patent pending. That means the design was being actively protected when this piece was made. It was new and it was selling. And Ivory China was Noritake's premium tier. Here's what I love about having sets 2 and 3 together. One company, 2 completely different product lines, 2 completely different retail price points, now sitting next to each other on the same shelf for roughly the same price. What separated them originally was the body, the trim, the positioning. What matters to you now is which one you love. For the record, you can love both. And the pattern name is right there on the backstamp. Heather. Search that on eBay sold listings before you decide. That's your real market value in about 90 seconds, right in the aisle. This is the one. Royal Albert, Bone China, England. That pink and red mark is one of the most collectible backstamps in the world. Royal Albert has been making bone china in England since 1897, and this pattern, that cross-stitch needlepoint look, roses at the center, that geometric border, is petite point, one of their most sought-after patterns. Look at the shape, the square corners, and those scalloped edges. That is distinctively English bone china. Japanese makers weren't doing this. The English were producing elaborate shapes like this for decades. And here's the thing that separates bone china from everything else. Hold it toward the light. See that? That slight glow? Light passing through the body of the piece. That's the bone ash in the formula. It's been the hallmark of English bone china since the 1750s. And to answer the question that I planted in the beginning, the prestigious name that wasn't fine china, that was the Royal Doulton. And the one collectors hunt for is this one. Before you buy anything, 4 things, 30 seconds. Run your fingers along every rim. Take a complete pass over the entire plate. Chip on a food service plate, pass. If it's one that you want to put on a shelf because you like how it looks, then you can bargain the price down. Next, hold it to the light. What you want to look for is tiny little cracks called crazing. And this is common in Old English pieces. It's cosmetic, not structural, but use it for display only if it's heavy. Next, you want to check the trim, especially if it's like gold or platinum. And what you're looking for is wear. Light wear is fine, heavy wear affects the value. And finally, look at the center of the plate for scratch marks, particularly gray scratch marks, because that means heavy cutlery use. Okay, that's a tough word to say. Heavy cutlery use. There you go. So you want to factor that into the price. 4 things every time. Okay, one last thing before we wrap up. 4 sets, 1 thrift store, and a complete lesson in learning what to look for when it comes to china. Stoneware, Japanese fine china, Japanese ivory china, and English bone china. 4 materials, 2 countries, and a thrift store that didn't actually know what they had. My husband has opinions, and one of his opinions is on how many sets of china one should own. Well, I have opinions too. Next week, I have a story that I want to share with you. It starts with a marking at the bottom of a piece of china that most people overlook, or think is a flaw, or don't even recognize at all. In fact, it isn't a flaw. It's a chapter in history. And once you know what the mark means, you will never walk past it again. I'm Kelly. This is The Silver Lining, and I'll catch you again next time.